Hey everybody, Funky McClunky here. I've not made a video in a very long time, but if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so below. And also, I'm on Substack now. I've talked about that on Instagram a little bit lately, but the reason I'm doing that is because I realize that people can't always keep track of everything that I put out on Cult, Etsy, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, da 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 da. And so once a week, I send out an email update that rounds up everything, tells you what I'm going to do, what projects I'm working on next, and also has some exclusive like a coupon code here and there, like discounts, things like that. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and subscribe to my Substack. Okay, on with the business. We have a lot to talk about. I want to talk about the just announced new retro Star Wars action figures. I want to talk about Skeleton Crew a little bit, and then I want to talk about a couple of new things that I have in the collection. So let's get into it. Okay, first up, let's talk about the new Hasbro Retro Series figures that were just announced this morning. This is a set of figures that people have been asking for, collectors have wanted, literally since we were all kids in the 70s and 80s, so it's super awesome. And also, if you've watched any of my videos before, you've seen that I've been asking for this kind of thing. I've been suggesting that pretty strongly that the Retro Series should be more about this and less about new Disney Plus series and new movies and stuff like that. So just announced is a set of original trilogy characters that we never got as figures in the original Kenner run. We've got the Rebel Fleet Trooper. We've got Han Solo as a Stormtrooper. We've got Luke in his Yavin ceremony outfit. We've got Walrus Man, which I hope will be like a screen accurate version. That's the only reason why they would include him in here, I think. And then a Sand Trooper. Yes, finally. And Dr. Evazan. People have been customizing and making these figures, including myself. I've designed every single one of these characters to make available as 3D files just myself, and tons of other people have too. This is what the retro collection should be. It should be figures of characters from the original trilogy that we never got. I would say that the only exceptions to that would be that makes sense would be like if they re-release figures from the last 17 that are hard to find, like Yak Face. They did that. That was cool for people who can't afford hundreds of dollars for an original. Also, maybe characters from Disney Plus series that fit in time-wise and aesthetics-wise with the original trilogy. I would argue that Andor is prime for that because of the way that that story unfolds. Even Skeleton Crew, which we'll talk about that in a second, because it leans so hard into the 80s kind of Goonies in space retro thing that I wouldn't be opposed to retro figures for that. But let's be clear, this new set is awesome. This is exactly what they should be doing. Kudos to you, Hasbro. I don't know if you did this on your own or if you listened to the fans and customizers like myself who have been asking for this, but great job. Only one thing that this isn't even a complaint, but this is more just like I'm begging you, a suggestion. Please release them individually, not just as a box set. And for whatever like manufacturing, logistical reasons you guys are doing the box sets to sell, whatever, that's great. Do the box sets. I'll buy one. But there are a lot of people who want to buy multiple Rebel Fleet Troopers and multiple Sand Troopers. So for people who are into army building, like, give them that. You don't have to don't stock the shelves at Target with these things. Just sell them through Hasbro Pulse, sell them through Shop Disney or whatever it is. Just individually sell those, please. You'll make a lot of money. You'll sell a lot of them. Everybody will be happy. Fans will love you. And by God, fans, if this is what you've been asking for, buy these. Buy these figures, buy these sets. Show Hasbro that this is the way. This is the way. Okay? All right, enough about the retro set. So let's talk about Skeleton Crew for a second. Now, I know that there's a lot of hate for Disney Star Wars. I know there's a lot of hate for Disney Plus shows that haven't been all that great. Not a lot of love for The Acolyte, and I understand that. Not a horribly well-written show. Skeleton Crew, I'm loving it. We've watched 2 episodes, me and my young boys, and my daughter, who's less into it, but my boys love it. And it really is Goonies in space. It tickles all the Spielberg, Lucas 80s nostalgia vibe parts of my body, which is great. I think that's what it's intended to do. And it appeals to younger kids who really, frankly, don't get enough of that kind of like kids having adventures type show and movie as we did when we were kids, and I think kids need that. I think they need to see imagination gone wild, kids going on adventures, kids stumbling upon amazing things. That's what really fueled my imagination as a kid. And these days, you just don't see that kind of storytelling as much in mainstream entertainment. And so I love to see it for that reason. I've seen people complaining online. Big surprise, everybody complains online about how this isn't Star Wars. Well, really what you're saying is this isn't my Star Wars. And that's fine. The Acolyte was not my Star Wars. And if I'm being honest, the prequel trilogy was not my Star Wars, because my Star Wars were the originals. And when I watched the prequels for the first time, I remember each one of those being like, this doesn't feel like I wanted Star Wars to be. It's too polished. The storytelling, the dialogue, it's just a little, like I wasn't into it. Andor is my Star Wars. Skeleton Crew is kind of my Star Wars. I like it because it's nostalgic. They're going for it and they're doing it. And my kids like it. And that's what's good, is that I like that my kids like some Star Wars that is actually entertaining. It's got some good storytelling so far. We're only 2 episodes in. And it's compelling. I don't know how it's going to turn out. It could suck in the end. But right now, I'm liking it. And for those of you who are saying it's not Star Wars, really what you're saying is it's not my Star Wars, because you aren't really going to like a lot of the things that come out. But the Star Wars universe, and let me be clear, I'm going to complain about a lot of Disney era Star Wars stuff. Not a huge fan of the prequels. Didn't really like The Acolyte. I liked Ahsoka. I think the Obi-Wan show wasn't as bad as people made it sound. Book of Boba Fett even. You really need to approach new Star Wars as, this is for everyone now. This isn't just for people who like the original stuff. Some of it is going to be objectively not as good from a storytelling perspective, cinematography, direct, whatever you want to say that you don't like about this. Totally, I get it. I'm with you on a lot of that. But some of it, like Skeleton Crew, is objectively entertaining television that might just not be for you. Okay? You need to think of Star Wars these days as a grown-ass man who grew up with it, in my opinion. You need to think of it as, whatever the media is, it could have some really entertaining Star Wars moments in it, even if it's not for you. Book of Boba Fett was that for me. I didn't really like the narrative of that story. I thought it was a little all over the place, but it has some really great Star Wars moments in it, and I choose to just enjoy those and then kind of forget about the rest. Young Jedi Adventures is a cartoon. It is not my Star Wars. It is not for me. Kids might love it. Kids might hate it. I don't know. I don't have kids that age anymore. But it's Star Wars. It is Star Wars. It's just not my Star Wars. So kind of, I try to look at it that way. Okay, moving on. I don't want to talk about that anymore. You know, there'll be things in your collection, if you're a collector of anything, but especially of Star Wars, because there's so much crap out there. There'll be things in your collection or things that you just never had in your collection that you wish you had. And sometimes that's a toy that you wanted when you were a kid, you never got it. Or it's something that came out maybe like after you stopped playing with toys and left Star Wars or whatever, but then saw it when you were older and you were like, man. Well, I finally acquired 2 of those things. And for those of you who have billion-dollar collections, this is not impressive at all. But for people who are a little bit more focused and reserved in their collecting and not filthy rich, this kind of thing is exciting. Dude, I got an Imperial shuttle. I found one at a really good price in person, instead of having to order one online and kind of hope for the best and pay for shipping on something so massive. I just found one for a good deal locally. It's complete. I got to clean the electronics because I'm pretty sure I can get them working again. But I'm just super pumped to have this. It's one of those things that's just been a hole in the collection I never had as a kid. I remember wanting 2 big ships when I was a kid as like a Christmas present or something. The Millennium Falcon and that thing in the Return of the Jedi era. And I got the Millennium Falcon, which I was super pumped about, but never managed to get that one. So now I've got it. Now I just got to find a place to fit the darn thing without my wife killing me for buying another display cabinet. Anyway, the second thing is this guy, Imperial Sniper mini rig thing. I never had this as a kid because it didn't come out until, 85 or something, and I wasn't playing with Star Wars at that point. But this has been really hard to find. I'm embarrassed about 2 things. 1, how expensive this little hunk of plastic usually is. And 2, how obscenely cheap I was able to get it. I can't believe how cheaply I was able to get this. I bought it in a couple of different pieces, and it was so insanely cheap. But it was missing the little strap thing, the little console here that goes over the front. So what I did is looking at pictures that were graciously shared with me by friends and followers. I recreated it as best I could and then 3D printed one and put it in there. I took this thing apart and I scanned it, and I'm going to make the files available for sale for this whole thing. So anybody who's missing any of the pieces to this thing will be able to replace them with 3D printed parts. So keep an eye out for that. Okay. Final thing I'm going to talk about is upcoming projects that I got going on. I know that I've been working on Beetlejuice figures. People have kind of moved on from Beetlejuice because of Halloween, and now it's Christmas and all that. I still love it. I still love the second movie. It just hit streaming on Max this past week, and I watched it again. I think it's a great sequel. Not many sequels like that nail it as well as this one did, I feel like. It's not perfect, but nothing is these days, and I love it. I thought it was really entertaining and a good way to continue that story. That being said, the figures that I'm making are from the original Beetlejuice movie because Kenner never made Barbara. They never made Lydia. Winona Ryder's character never had a figure. So I'm going to make her. I'm going to make the parents like Delia and Charles, and that's probably about it. But just round out that original set. Actually, here, I'll show you a picture. Take a look at, this is a test print of the Barbara figure. She's got the same kind of body structure as best I could of the originals, seen here with the Kenner Adam figure. And I sculpted a mask that you can put on just like the Adam figure had for her weird monster face. And I also, it's not in this picture, but I actually sculpted a replacement for Adam's head that doesn't have the silly hat on it too. So I'll make those available to buy here shortly. Just haven't gotten to posting them yet. But anyway, so I'm going to do a couple more of those, and then I had said I was going to move on to the Ewok movies after that, and I am, but for some reason, just a bunch of people all at once have been asking me for Blade Runner figures, and I've always wanted to do those. I've always had it on my to-do list, and it keeps getting bumped. Well, I'm tired of putting it off, and people have been asking, so I'm bumping it to the top of the list. I'm going to finish these Beetlejuice figures in December, and then in January, hitting the ground running with Blade Runner figures. I'm going to do all the main characters, couple surprises, and then I'll do the Ewok figures. I've got some really good ideas on that as well. Looking forward to doing those. Guys, I've just talked for like 11 minutes. I'm already exhausted. If you've gotten this far, I appreciate that. More to come. Hit the comments and tell me what you think about the new retro stuff, Skeleton Crew. Tell me I'm an idiot. Tell me you love this t-shirt. I made this, actually. You can get it on TeePublic. I uploaded it so people could buy it, but I thought it was silly. I mean, it's basically He-Man on a jet ski, right? What's not to love? Anyway, until next time, everybody, stay funky.